Welcome back. This is the AM show. And as we slug it out all the way to the end of the show, we're going to host the National Communications Director of the NDC. And we're going to discuss divergent, different matters right here. But joining us, we have Sammy Gyamfi, National Communications Director, National Democratic Congress. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
The Lord has been gracious and kind. My title is actually National Communications Officer.
Officer?
No, yeah, you know we have a National Communications Director, my senior brother, Kakre Samwa.
Oh,
but I'm the National Communications Officer.
I think for a long time I've said that. But anyway, thank you for...
Thanks for having me, my brother. And how are you doing?
I am okay under the circumstances. That's what I always say, because it is what it is. But coming to the studio this morning, what did you come with in terms of the latest? What is on your mind this morning?
Well, for me, what is on my mind this morning has to do with the fact that at long last, Ghanaians have barely 10 days to the crucial December 7th general elections.
At long last?
At long last.
I see.
An election like none other. An election that will shape the future and destiny of our country, the future and destiny of our children and their children's children. And so I'm excited about that because it is a golden opportunity for the people of this country to vote wisely to bring about the change and transformation we've all been yearning for in the last 7.5, nearly 8 years. And I'm particularly excited about this because it gives us the opportunity to vote out the ruling New Patriotic Party that has plunged our country into economic bankruptcy and imposed untold hardships and suffering on all of us in the last nearly 8 years. And so I know that, like me, there are many Ghanaians out there who cannot wait for December 7th election to pass their verdict, a verdict of no confidence in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government, which has flattered to deceive on almost all their flagship promises. Today, people are buying a ball of kinky in Ghana today at 3 Ghana cedis, 5 Ghana cedis, at some places 7 Ghana cedis. Today, drivers are struggling to buy a gallon of petrol and diesel at almost 65 Ghana cedis. Today, you need more than 16 Ghana cedis to buy $1 US. It's the same for those who need safer for their business, those who need euros for their business, or pound sterling.
Did you
for
say
their
safer?
Business. Yes, safer. You know that
the CFA, I know the dynamics with the CFA, but I don't know whether it's fair to, bring in the CFA
very
as far
fair.
as this conversation is concerned.
Very
and also
fair.
as far as we know of the dynamics between France and some of these countries. And
very
the
fair.
leveraging.
Very fair, because you know that more than 90% of the things on our markets that we consume in Ghana are imported. And most of these things are imported by market women from Francophone countries. So you have people going to Togo to bring in goods, some going to Cote d'Ivoire to bring in goods, and so on. So the safer is what most traders in Ghana deal with. Not everybody requires dollar or uses dollar for their imports. A lot of petty traders in Ghana and even big-time traders in Ghana use the safer for purposes of importing goods into the country. And in 2016, Benjamin, will you believe that one needed just about 6,500 to get 1 million safer? Today you need more than 25,000 Ghana cedis, almost 30,000 cedis to buy 1 million safer without more. So this has had a very debilitating impact on businesses.
I understand when you talk about inflation, when you talk about the exchange rate, I agree with you. But over time, the cost of things, changes, right?
Yeah.
You don't expect that what you were buying for maybe 1 cedi in 2016 would be 1 cedi in 2024. Right?
Exactly.
So with some of the permutations you make,
yeah.
to what extent do you make these permutations?
Yeah. You see, I understand you perfectly. Prices will always go up in any country with inflation. Prices will not be static. Prices will not come down. But for me, it is the quantum of increment in prices, general price levels, that is important.
Okay.
And so if you have a situation where inflation increased from 15.4% as of December 2016 when we were leaving office to a staggering 54% as of December 2022, then you know that that is a mess.
But inflation now is a little over 20%.
No, inflation today is 22.1% and has been on an upward trajectory in the last 2 months. It was 20.4% in August of this year. It increased to 21.5% in September, and in October,
that's what I'm saying. It's still hovering over 20%.
But still look at the trajectory. It is going upwards. And 22.1% inflation is extremely high, regardless of the country you're looking at. And even if you look at the PPI, the Producer Perception Price Index, it is hovering around 33% from 30.5% last month. So prices keep going up, okay? The man who used to buy a gallon of diesel at 14 cedis in 2016 is today buying it at 65 Ghana cedis. Benjamin, this is not a mere increase. It's a significant astronomical jump. The one who needed just 4 cedis or 4 cedis, 20 pesos to buy $1 today has to cough up more than 16 Ghana cedis for $1. It is not a mere increase. It's an astronomical jump that has collapsed a lot of businesses. Look at the taxes we have been slapped with as a people by a group of people who promised to move us from taxation to production.
I think now you may be preaching to the choir because we are all familiar with these.
We are familiar with that.
I just have a quick intervention.
But Benjamin, with 10 days to go,
right?
10 days to this crucial December 7th election that we are all yearning for, it is important for us to remind ourselves about the suffering that we have been plunged into by the current duty bearers, who today are pretending to be in opposition when they are in government. For the first time in the history of Ghana, you are having an incumbent regime campaigning against its own policies and pretending to be in opposition in government and promising the citizenry that vote for us and we will come and change our own policies when they have the power to do that now. Ghanaians should not forget these things. They should vote for a man who is tried and tested, a man who has proven to be incorruptible, a man who has the experience and the steady hands to steer our nation out of the economic quandary we've been plunged into by these nation wreckers. A man who can come and stop the lootocracy and the state capture going on. A man who can come and stop the state capture, the corruption, the thievery, and who will apply the meager resources of state judiciously, borrowed funds judiciously, for the betterment of our welfare as a people and for the creation of opportunities, not for a select few, but for every Ghanaian.
For everybody.
That leader
let me ask
is
you
the
this.
nation builder, John Dramani Mahama.
Right. And I ask an open question. You talk about some of these ills. Are they going to be any better under a future NDC government if your party wins? Some of these metrics you mentioned, right? Because I also listen to the political actors and sometimes I get a little uncomfortable. You do realize, like Dr. Etiahene and others have said, that look, with the way our economy is currently, in the next, after 2025, a year or two after that, in fact, by 2025, 2026, Ghana may have to do debt restructuring again. I mean, things are not rosy, right? So with some of these things you talk about, are you not walking the tightrope as a party because they could come back to bite you?
Yes, they could come back to bite us, but we are able to boldly talk about these things because we have a leader who is trustworthy, a man who delivers when he promises. John Dramani Mahama is very measured with what he promises because for him, integrity is the most important virtue every leader must display. And so, yes, even as we campaign against the rots we've seen in the last nearly 8 years, we are very measured in the kind of expectations we create, given the economic realities we know we will be confronted with. And everything we say, everything we promise, are things that we have thought through carefully, and we are convinced are achievable. Look, you ask whether Ghanaians will see some improvements in some of the matrices I've pointed to. Emphatically, yes. You know, this year alone, the cedi has depreciated by about 29% this year alone. Now, I can say without a shadow of doubt that after John Mahama takes office and stabilizes things, you are not going to see the cedi depreciate at this alarming level. It will not happen. The cedi will never depreciate.
You are not saying that it will not depreciate, but that it will not depreciate at this level, alarming level.
Okay, the cedi will not depreciate by 54% like it did in 2022. The cedi will not depreciate by nearly 30%.
Are you talking of,
like it has done
Are you
today.
talking of inflationary trends, or are you talking
I'm talking about the depreciation
level of
the
depreciation
cedi.
of the
Because you see, the depreciation of your cedi is a function of demand and supply of forex. You understand? And one of the major factors for the depreciation, the ever depreciation of the Ghana cedi, has to do with the shortage of dollars in Ghana. What has accounted for that? Number one, our bankruptcy. The government engaged in a reckless borrowing spree since, when it took office in 2017. I'm talking about the NPP. I'm talking about the Bawumia-led economic management team. They borrowed recklessly against sound counsel from the NDC and other neutrals. They were borrowing averagely $3 billion from the Eurobond market. And worse is the fact that the borrowed funds were not invested into the productive sectors of the economy. They were not invested into revenue generation projects and programs that could pay for those loans. And so we got to a point in November 2022 when we could no longer service our debt obligations. And for the first time in the history of Ghana, we became a bankrupt nation. Our credit rating moved from B- under John Mahama to CCC, junk, baller status. We're locked out of the capital market because we could not pay our debt, and no nation, no creditor was willing to lend to us again. And that is where we remain as we speak. Today, even Burkina Faso, which is being ruled by a military junta, they are able to go on the capital market to borrow. Cote d'Ivoire is able to go there to borrow. Togo is able to go there to borrow. But Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana is not able to go there to borrow because of what? Bad leadership that borrowed recklessly and wasted those borrowed funds on consumption and corruption, profligacy and wastage. So that is what has destroyed investor confidence in our economy. And that is what led to the capital flight we saw in the latter part of 2022, which our economy has still not recovered from that. And so the surest way of stabilizing the cedi is to restore that lost investor confidence through prudent fiscal and monetary policies. So John Mahama has said that we are going to stop the reckless borrowing and borrow responsibly and invest borrowed funds into the productive sectors of the economy. And he has done that before. We borrowed $1 billion from the Chinese. We didn't spend it on Wache and Kinky parties. We didn't spend it on constructing a useless hole in the name of building a cathedral for God. We spent it on the construction of the first of its kind gas processing factory, the biggest factory in Ghana, the Tuabo gas processing plant, which today saves Ghana $300 million a year, and which today has paid for the loan we contracted for that project. We were able to build the best airport terminal in the whole of West Africa, the Terminal 3, with borrowed funds, money we borrowed on the books of Ghana Airport Company Limited through a deliberate government policy. We're able to build the MPS terminal at Tema Port, which has made it the biggest port in the whole of West Africa.
This administration will tell you about 1D, 1F. They will tell you about...
They've not borrowed from 1D, 1F. They'll tell you about... So don't jumble them together. Let's go one after that.
Hold. They will tell you about some of their social intervention policies, including impacting industry. They will tell you, for example, about industrialization. They'll tell you about the Flower Port flyover that has just been, unleashed, inaugurated.
I like it when we go step by step.
They've spoken about the year of roads. If you want to talk about major projects, they also have major projects, don't they?
So number one, let's go step by step. Because when you go, the devil is in the detail. It is when you go step by step that you are able to expose the hollowness of the claims they make. Number one, they've not borrowed for 1D, 1F. 1D, 1F is basically a private
I didn't
initiative.
say that they,
No, because I'm talking about
I am saying
the prudent utilization of borrowed funds.
You spoke about major projects, and I'm just giving you some of their major projects.
I'm not just talking about major projects in isolation. I'm talking about major projects undertaken by the actual NDC Mahama government with borrowed funds.
Okay.
Contrary to what this government has done, we borrowed and invested them into revenue generation projects and programs, productive sectors that yielded dividends to pay for those loans, created jobs, created value, and expanded the GDP of Ghana. That's what I'm talking about. You get me? As none of the things you mentioned fall within the category that I am discussing, the category of a tuabo gas processing plant, the category of the MPS terminal, and so on. But put that aside, and let's even talk about the so-called achievements you mentioned. These are not achievements. These are mere slogans. Because in terms of 1D, 1F, what is the dividends we have derived from that as a country? You come into office on the back of a promise to build a factory in every district. In opposition, these guys even published a pie chart, which indicated the type of factory they were going to build in every district. You come to office, and very characteristic of you, a 419 bunch of people, you decide to amend.
I don't think that is respectful.
419, and
419 represents fraud.
Yes, and I'm going to show that to you because you promised to build specific factories in every district. You come to office and you change that. You convert.
If we want to use the word fraud,
if I finish, you will understand my drift.
If you want to use the word fraud for such activities, then we can label probably every leader in this country because they've not done everything they promised, did they? Then we can say that all of these leaders have been fraudulent.
It's not about.
Which is why it is unfair to say it's a 419.
It's not about not being able to fulfill everything they have promised. It's about deliberately setting out to lie to the people.
So deceive.
To deceive the people. For example, when Bawumia said that they have decided at cabinet to henceforth build only concrete roads in Ghana because concrete roads are durable and better than asphalt roads. That was not a manifesto promise. That was a politician deliberately deciding to deceive the people with sweet rhetorics and lofty promises. He knew that it was not achievable to build concrete roads in Ghana. When Bawumia stood at Cape Coast and said that, good people of Cape Coast, I have good news for you. We are building, not we will build. We are building an ultra-modern harbor for you and a brand new airport for you. It was not a mere manifesto promise that they have failed to keep. It was a deliberate lie calculated to deceive the people. Because his boss, Akufo-Addo, later told us in an interview that the promise to build a harbor in Cape Coast was never on the table and never discussed. So where did Bawumia, his vice, get that from? You get my point? So I'm not talking about mere manifesto promises that a government is unable to fulfill. No government can fulfill 100% of their manifesto promises, not even in the United States of America. So I'm not oblivious to that. I'm talking about a government that deliberately sets out to lie. When Bawumia stood on a platform and told Ghanaians that we don't have to borrow for roads, we only have to tow the roads, and we'll be able to generate all the revenue we need to borrow to build the roads we need. That was not a mere manifesto promise. It was not even in their manifesto. It was a deliberate lie because he knows that as a developing country like ours, we can't do without borrowing. When he looked at us and told us, in 18 months, we will transform Ghana's economy. In 18 months, no community in Ghana will have a water or toilet problem. My brother, that was a lie that he knew he could never keep. So let's not confuse unfulfilled manifesto promises with deliberately concocted, fabricated lies by certain devious politicians.
Well, the word deliberate will be
deliberate because he didn't say it in his sleep.
It will be relative.
He thought about
because other people would look at other pictures of different promises and say, well, that was deliberately said. The person acted as though, hey, I'm going to do this, and it wasn't fulfilled.
The things I'm talking about are not even manifesto promises. But let me go back to the point. These are not even manifesto promises.
Make that point briefly.
Back to the point I'm making. Even those so-called achievements, 1D, 1F. Look, I had cause to point out on TV3 this weekend that in the last 2 years, the manufacturing sector has been growing in the negatives. Negatives. The industry sector has been growing in the negative. Just check Appendix 1C of the 2024 budget of this government, and the figures are there. They talk about roads. Construction has been growing in the negatives in the last 3 years. Check their own budget, Appendix 1C, on page 161. You get my point? So these are mere slogans. I have traveled the length of and breadth of Ghana throughout this campaign. Go to Western region and look at their roads and tell me whether they have benefited from any year of roads. Go to Amenfi East, Amenfi Central, Amenfi West. Go and look at the roads there. Go to Ahafo, go to Bono, go and look. Yes, every government will build a road. I won't say they've not built roads. They built some roads. But definitely not the 10 kilometers of roads they are talking about. Definitely not. They have definitely not done more than any government in history as they claim relative to roads.
Let's get into the campaign.
So the point here is that when you ask Sammy Gyamfi whether Ghanaians will see an improvement in some of the matrices I talk about, the answer is emphatically yes, because Ghanaians are going to see a total reset of economic management and a paradigm shift in how we manage this economy, which will restore confidence in our economy and ensure that we use the meager resources of state judiciously for the benefit of the people. Finally, before you come in with your next question,
has to be
one thing that we're going to do to stabilize the economy, especially the exchange rate, because that is so passionate to John Mahama, is that we are going to put in place the right measures to attract forex. Number one, increase oil production. You know that this government has not added even one oil field to the 10 Sankofa Jubilee fields we bequeathed to them. And they have, because of the hostilities meted out to players in the upstream sector, oil production has declined by 32%. Under John Mahama, that will be changed. Oil production will go up, and when oil production goes up, that is more foreign exchange to stabilize your city. Cocoa, the cocoa sector has collapsed. Under Mahama, we had 967,000 metric tons when he was leaving office. Annual cocoa production, 2016-2017 cocoa season. Today, we are struggling to get 420,000 metric tons of cocoa production per annum. They've collapsed the sector. And at John Mahama, cocoa production will go up again because free fertilizer is coming, free weedicides, all those interventions we used to implement for the cocoa sector.
How about illegal mining, which is largely accounting for where we are?
So with increased cocoa production, you have more foreign exchange to stabilize the city. So
Sammy, we've thought about these things.
We've thought about these
How about dealing with illegal mining, which is a major part of the problem?
One thing is certain, and you can mark my words down. Under John Mahama, forest reserves will once again become red zones. And no appointee of John Mahama, no government official of John Mahama, and no man born of a woman, whether he is NDC or MPP, will be given the right to mine in a forest reserve to poison our water bodies at a source.
So you're saying that if it doesn't happen before the next government takes over, whichever government that is, should your government take over, LI 2462 will be revoked?
It will be abrogated with the speed of light.
All right.
Because under John Mahama, we have no such ally. Mining in forest reserves will be banned. Mining in water bodies will
we have to go speedily on this, else you will not have the time to address
No. This is an important issue because it borders on our lives. So if we can even dedicate 2-3 minutes to it,
we have 40 seconds more on this matter.
Look, we are going to amend the Minerals and Mining Act to impose stiffer punishment on mining in water bodies. We are going to ban government appointees from engaging in mining. Whether legal or illegal.
Don't get involved in mining.
Then we are going to ban mining in forest reserves, which is where the poisoning of our water bodies actually take place. And we are going to take an inventory of all mining concessions in Ghana, particularly the small-scale mining concessions. We are going to attach graduates from the University of Mines to them. We are going to give them the necessary training. The Ghana Gold Board will be established and will provide that training and technical capacity support to make sure that they mine responsibly. And we are going to hold holders of mining leases who allow illegal mining activities on their concessions. We are going to hold them accountable and prosecute them. Anyone who wants to mine responsibly under John Mahama will be given the right and the support to do that. We are not going to make mining the preserve of a few party supporters. No. Mining will become a legitimate business for every Ghanaian desirous of going into mining. But you have to mine legally and responsibly. You mine illegally and irresponsibly, you have problems with John Mahama. And nobody will
Let's
be able
talk
to
about
or protect you.
The John Dramani Mahama campaign. How is it going? I saw an interesting ad today from the MPP suggesting that, oh, for the former president, Dada Noir, but if we want anything different, it must be Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Anything different?
How do you react to that?
Anything different from the man who has been at the helm of affairs of economic management in this country in the last nearly 8 years. The man who in opposition held several lectures and waxed lyrical about economic solutions. The man who was projected to us as the economic messiah Ghana needed, the economic wizkid Ghana needed. The man who told us that if the fundamentals of your economy are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And today, he has been exposed by that exchange rate. Such that he has taken flight from the economy. The economy has become haram for him. He doesn't talk about the economy these days. All he talks about is...
He's been given the name Dr. Digital.
Dr. Digital.
So
where
he focuses on
where is the digital solution for the dollar?
What is your problem?
Where is the digital solution for the ever depreciating cedi? Where is the digital solution for the unemployment rate in Ghana, which has gotten out of hands, increased from 8.4% under John Mahama to over 14.7%? Where is the digital solution for the debt mess, the debt crisis we have on our hands? When for the first time in the history of Ghana, we have defaulted on our debt obligations. And we are giving haircuts to people who lent their hard-earned monies to us, their lifetime savings to us as a country, including pensioners, some of whom have died because we took their monies and refused.
Let's go back to the focal point.
So
we're going to get... No. We can't keep doing this.
No.
We can't keep doing this.
So if you ask questions, you don't want an answer?
No, give me straightforward answers. I asked you a question. I put it to you. This is what the MPP is saying.
So this is my answer.
The simple point.
My answer is that
are we going to see a different John Mahama? Because he himself has spoken. He says he's learned from some mistakes of the past. I'm asking you a simple question. Are we seeing a different John Mahama?
Do you realize that I'm the
if he becomes president?
Do you realize that I'm the
if he becomes president? Look, are we seeing a different John Mahama?
Look, some of these things I say here, you say more than that even on blunt thoughts. So I wonder.
But that is my prerogative.
Why you don't allow me to talk about these things? Listen. First of all, let's expose that fraud the MPP are attempting to perpetrate against the people of this country again by branding Bawumia as a new person. He is not new. He is the same Bawumia we knew in opposition.
Okay.
And the same Bawumia we've known in government in the last 8 years. Oyedada Noir, a man bereft of credibility, a man who has proven time and again to be a pathological liar, a man whose word is not his bond, a man who has proven to be totally clueless when it comes to economic management, and has totally run down the Ghanaian economy, imposing untold hardships on us. And so if you are a pensioner or you are a bondholder and you have lost your coupon, or you've lost part of the monies you lend to government, or you lost your job as a result of the collapse of the financial sector which Bawumia supervised, or today you have finished school but you are home because there is no job for you, and you are having to pay e-levy, COVID-19 levy, Bola levy, growth and sustainability levy, all these useless draconian taxes which the government is wasting on useless initiatives. Know that this Bawumia has nothing new for you. And in fact, he himself, when he stands on the stage today, apart from dancing off beats to Owosisi Fianibi, and apart from insulting our intelligence by singing to King Palute's Nyamene Shiraye, Nashimu, to which God has blessed him, Bawumia, and his wife, and it is paining Ghanaians. Apart from that, he has nothing.
That is the meaning you read from it.
To offer but he's definitely not a new person. But for John Mahama is not a new John Mahama. He's an experienced John Mahama. because he has the benefit of hindsight. He's been president before, and as president, he left an enduring legacy of unprecedented investments in capital expenditure, infrastructure development, tangible projects that are there today. You can see it, you can touch it, you can feel it. Investments that have created jobs, investments that have created development and transformation for us. He was voted out. He's had the opportunity to stay out there on the sidelines observing things for 8 years. And so he's coming back refreshed, not new, refreshed, with the benefit of hindsight and experience. A virtue that no person in the history of Ghana has ever had.
Okay.
And so coming back, he will be a better version of himself and outperform his past and do far better than the good things he did under his first term.
Let me just ask you this. I see that you've been campaigning vigorously. What has been the response as you've gone round? And there's an interesting dynamic. Codeo has come through with its latest report. And part of it shows that, interestingly, you, the NDC and the MPP, you are doing your rallies all right, but you are going more to communities, individuals. It has changed the trajectory of, campaigning, political party campaigning since 1992. Is there strategy? What has changed that is getting both of you to adopt, this strategy?
Well, I can speak for the NDC. And what I would say is that right from the outset, we set out to, engage in a retail campaign, largely a retail campaign, where we go to every nook and cranny of Ghana with our message. And so, yes, we have multiple teams. The flag bearer you may see in the big towns and capitals of districts and so on. But the running mate also has its targeted area. The national chairman goes way down, okay? And myself and other leading figures of the party, like the majority leader, Dr. Atufo, and other leading national officers of the party, we also go down. So we have different campaign teams, different strategies. But the objective is simple. Reach the Ghanaian at their places of abode with a message of hope that John Mahama and the NDC are offering. That has been the strategy, and so far, much better. We've seen a significant improvement on our fortune as a party.
Okay, so at least that it confirms that it is strategy. I just wanted to see.
Is totally different from the style of campaigning we have.
And we saw some of that under John Evans at Mills, and when he was being laughed at, you remember the Adieye song. So I found it interesting. I wanted to find out what was behind
house campaign.
Right. What was behind this?
And once you said,
but let's veer into a
just
crucial
5
issue.
seconds. Let me just use 5 seconds to salute all our parliamentary candidates, all volunteers, all branch executives, constituency executives, party activists who are on the streets, who are doing house to house and various forms of retail campaigning. We salute them for their sacrifices. We salute them for their commitment. And we want them to know that in the next 10 days, this will pay off. They shouldn't give up. They should continue doing what they do.
Earlier in this conversation, you mentioned the National Cathedral. And we've sunk quite a bit of money into that already. Shraj came through with a report. What are your brief reactions to that report, some of what it says about the board of directors and what should happen, and other dynamics in terms of corruption and what could have gone on, which leads to suspicion of corruption, including the contract with Ribadi Limited. And what will happen to that National Cathedral project in a future NDC government?
Well, first of all, it is refreshing that Shraj has confirmed what all of us knew to be true, that so-called project, that project was not about building God a National Cathedral. It was just a group of people who came together and decided to use the name of God to steal from the people of Ghana. And it is refreshing that Shraj has confirmed that indeed the said project was awarded illegally to Ribadi. The contract is a criminal one, and it remains a total abuse of the public purse. It is so sad that in this time of excruciating hardships, joblessness and hopelessness, we've wasted, according to Shraj, over 259 million Ghana cedis. That is 2.5 trillion old Ghana cedis. Imagine the hospitals this money could have built. Imagine the number of schools it could have built. The number of productive initiatives it could have been used for to create jobs and prosperity for our people. Money gone down the drain. And the saddest thing for me is that they did not even use the money for what they said they were using the money for. Because today you go to the site and all you see is a manhole which has gathered water. And now people are calling it a swimming pool. Sometimes it is funny, but it is very sad.
So what will you do
that
with
match?
What will you do
guys
with
could
it?
not even build the foundation.
What will you do
of
with
what
it?
they call a national cathedral?
What will you do with
It's
it?
a tragedy. And what John Mahama has said is what we will do, which is basically that we will first of all conduct a forensic audit into the project to ascertain how much has been sunk into the project, by whom, and where did the money go? Because clearly the money didn't go into the project. And we need to find out where the money went to, and we need to retrieve those funds. And when we have done that and prosecuted those responsible for this criminality, then we can engage the state, the nation, in a dialogue on what should be done, what should happen to that abandoned pit. So that is a decision that the nation will take collectively. But the first thing we will do within our first 90 days in office, in fact, it is part of John Mahama's 120-day social contract with the people of Ghana.
Right.
He will conduct a forensic audit into that. I am so happy that men of God that we revere, who were deceived to join this project, have resigned. I'm happy that His Eminence Archbishop Duncan Williams has resigned from the Board of Trustees. I'm happy that Bishop Dagiwad Mills has resigned. I'm happy that Pastor Isud Anaba has resigned. I'm happy that they are all washing their hands off it, because clearly this was not meant to glorify God.
We have to go. I want to sneak in
enrich a few selfish, greedy, corrupt people. But not only would John Mahama punish them, God would judge them for stealing his name.
This is the final bit. We have to go in about 40 seconds, right? How ready is the NDC? Now, the IGP has said the police is 95% ready for the elections. Monday, December 2nd, special voting starts. The EC says it is ready. How ready is the NDC?
The NDC is more than ready. We are more than ready to police the ballots through our competent, courageous, loyal polling agents and observers. What we want is a peaceful, free and fair election.
Okay.
What we want is for the will of the people of this country expressed at the poll to stand at the end of the day. So Ghanaians can be rest assured that under the leadership of John Mahama, the NDC will act responsibly, play by the rules, and ensure that the process is free, fair, and peaceful. But we will not allow anybody to manipulate or undermine the sanctity of the process.
I think it's Mr. Jinapel who said that you can't collate your own results. Can you collate your results?
What happened in Asenov? Who collated our results for us?
Okay. Thank you very much. And that is Sammy Gyamfi. He is National Communications Officer. Thank you for the correction.
Of the great NDC.
Of the National Democratic
The adjective
Congress.
must come. The great National Democratic.
He is National Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress. You're trying to be. but thank you for joining the conversation. No, we have to go. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is how we draw the curtains on this belt of the conversation, and in fact, on the AM show. I do this always with Sweetie Abochi. Thank you for watching. After the break, we'll bring you Joy News Desk. Do stay.